Welcome everybody to Redtail's Practice Management Spotlight. Now, Redtail's Practice Management Spotlights bring you education outside of the CRM, focusing on industry best practices for growing your financial business. So we're actually getting out of the CRM today. There's not going to be any CRM training or how-to, and that's an important thing to remember when you're watching these practice management spotlights. We want to try and expand your knowledge, obviously, beyond the CRM to kind of general industry-wide best practices and advice. So as I said, we're not going to be getting into the CRM today, but we will be focusing, in this case, on doubling production and increasing production with client events and experiences. And with us today is Paul Karasik. Now, for those of you who don't know Paul, he is the president of the Financial Advisor Coaching Institute and the Wholesaler Institute. I've been working with Paul for the better part of a year. We've done a couple of these webinars, and he's been doing this longer than I have. He's devoted about 20 years to helping sales and management professionals such as yourselves reach their goals. He's the author of 4 all-time business classics. He's got 22 Keys to Sales Success, which was published by Bloomberg Press, Seminar Selling, which was published by McGraw-Hill, Sweet Persuasion, which was published by Simon & Schuster, and then Mastering the Heart of Wholesaling. His most recent books are How to Market to High Net Worth Households and Brilliant Thoughts. And so, fortunately, with us today, we have Paul to share some of those brilliant thoughts. So, Paul, I'm going to let you take it away, my man. The show is
great. Thank you, Rick. I assume I can be heard here. I'm excited to be on the call. I've been I want to thank Rick personally. I've been a big fan of Redtail for many years. The software has great, what I'll call sales and marketing consciousness, and it's really built not just as a software product, but a product to help you to sell and market. So to clarify and just expand on what Rick just mentioned, introducing me, we focus on one issue. We're a one-trick pony. We do one thing for one kind of person, and that's we help financial professionals to sell and market their products and services more successful, to expand their business, to grow their business, to make more money, to maximize their potential. That's it. We do one thing for one kind of person. So we're not all over the place. We don't deal with any issues that don't directly feed into this concept of how do you make more money, how do you grow your business, how do you make more money, and actually what we'll be talking about here today for part of the call is and work less. And that's the package that we're all looking for, especially if you've been in the business for a couple of years like I have. What I'm going to be sharing with you here today are not theoretical. These are not my ideas necessarily. They are the encapsulation of the best practices of the most successful financial advisors in the business over the last 20 to 25 years. I myself am not that smart. I don't claim to be. I'm not being immodest here or whatever the expression is. What I'm good at, though, is capturing, identifying, and codifying and putting it into a format, the best practices that I can then share with other advisors. So nothing I'm going to be sharing with you here is theoretical. None of it is an idea, a concept. It's actually a proven principle, strategies, and techniques. And to that point, I want to make this a call that's going to do 3 things. Number 1, it's going to introduce you to some underlying strategies that you all know if you've been in the business, if you've lasted your first 18 months. And by the way, the attrition rate in the business is 8 out of 10 advisors don't make it to 18 months. So if you're that lucky, and then more specifically to the middle group, people who've been in the business for a couple of years, up to 10 or 15 years, and feel like they are not really achieving their full potential. They see people who are doing double and triple numbers in production and wondering how come I'm not. And so this is really for you. And in that sense, we're going to cover the 3 areas. Number 1, what are some basic concepts, basic strategies that need to be guiding your practice today to achieve success, to hit those big numbers, to be $1 million producer? What are those core strategies that the top guys use? Number 2, and specific to the title of this program, a tactical approach that you can apply when we're done in about 30 minutes or probably a little bit less, about 28 now. That you can apply when you're done with the call. You say, "Hey, let's get together, pull your team together, your assistant or whatever, and begin to implement a plan." And number 3, I want to introduce myself to you as a coach. I'll give you a contact number when we're done with this call. If you can't stay on it, just go to paulkarasik.com, and there's a phone number there. We do offer coaching, so we help top producers to make more money, double their production, and work less in doing so. And we have again, the best practices of the top producers who are doing $1 million in production and more that we work with an ongoing practice. I have to say, many or most of the folks that we begin working with continue with us because they get results. And if you feel like the chemistry's there and I'm the right person and I could help you, it's worth it to get on a phone call with Jason, who's my marketing assistant, and he'll set up a conference call with you. Just call the number on paulkarasik.com, or at the end, the number will be listed at the end of this call, and we'll set up a call. That being said, let's get to work, and let's talk about, again, specifically what I'm proposing here. Why does it work? What are the core elements of sales and marketing are at work here for you to actually double your production using this particular strategy? So if I ask you to get active right now, I'm going to ask you to think of, or you can write it down, think of your best producers. Think about who are producing the most money for you right now in terms of clients. Who are those A clients? What are their names? What do they look like? What do they sound like? How do you see them? How do you interact with them? How many do you have in your book of business? These are the key people in your journey to doubling your production. And these are the 80-20. So these 20% of your clients are responsible for bringing 80% of your income. And the truth is that if you could get more of those 20% that have substantial assets with you, that you are able to cross-sell other products and services to, such as insurance products or maybe with their businesses or whatever the case may be, that you go, when you look at them, those 3 individuals, couples, clients, if you could double, triple, quadruple the number of those clients, your business would literally quadruple. It would quadruple because the 80-20 is a law. It's not a debatable law. It's a law. So we say the first element of strategy to increase your production is the word focus. Focusing on the right people. And the right people are the ones who can bring in substantial income to you. And begin to identify and invest your what I call currency, because your time is your currency, with the right people. The right people are the people who have the same traits, characteristics, and attributes as the 3 that you just listed when I asked you to write down the names of your 3 best clients. What do they have in common? Perhaps there's age, background, vocation. There's many ways to begin to target this group. Maybe the 3 of them have nothing in common, but that's immediately visible. But the fact that they have substantial assets, and that's fine too. But underlying it all, there is a kind of client that is appropriate for you. And if you could begin to focus and begin to see and envision and begin to attract opportunities to meet more people like this, you will in fact double your income. And we see that. We're able to do that with advisors that we work with, because we begin to get refine this identification process, focus on it, and again this wonderful truth about the universe is that whatever we focus on, whatever we put our attention to, whatever we envision, we begin to create in our lives, and that's just a law of the way things happen. So, what is it about top producers? Here's a statistic that I think you should keep in mind when you begin to think, "Gee, I'm really ready to cut loose. I'm ready to start making money. I'm ready to. I know I'm not living up to my potential. Some things aren't right. Could be the structure of your business, your assistant, the way you're doing things, your investments of time, maybe even your products that you're offering right now needs to be refined and changed. But what do all the top producers have in common? What the top producers have in common is that they focus on a smaller number of people and they make a lot more money. So looking at this stat here, average number of clients for advisors earning between 150,000 and $1 million is 172 clients. And you may fall into this particular category. You know what your production was last year. Average number of clients for advisors earning more than $1 million is 43. An interesting side point about this particular study was the advisor who was making the most money had 3 clients. So it really now I, I'm not into embedding this particular model into your business structure. I've worked with advisors for over 25 years, and I know full well that there are literally as many models for success in this business as there are advisors. But because each advisor is their own business, and each business is slightly different. But there are some common occurrences, and the common occurrences are when we focus on the right clients with the right products, that our income increases exponentially. So see this more as a metaphor than the statistics that I'm exposing you to here. And another important uh, statistic, fact, is top producers are relationship centers. Advisors who spend 60% or more of their time with clients earn 8 times what advisors who spend 30% or less of their time with clients. Fact. So we begin to see and ask yourself the question: how can I spend more time with my clients? How can I spend more time with my clients in a productive environment, in a relationship building environment, as opposed to just these models? I call my clients once a month, or every quarter, or every 6 months. I see them once a year. Those are fine uh, uh, practices, and I'm not knocking those practices. And I think everybody should have a relationship-based checking in and updates and giving reports and sending them uh, emails and phone calls and making meetings. But in general, as a basic concept, this is an important statistic. So, if you're spending less than 60% of your time with your clients, you're not going to be earning less than 30%. You're going to be earning a fraction of what those advisors who spend 60% or more. So, one of the solutions that I'm offering here on this call today is to say, how can I spend more quality time with advisors? And so we come up with this idea of the client event. And client events are traditional. They have been used by the wirehouses. I'm sure we don't have any. We probably have a lot of ex-wirehouse folks on the calls, as people are running for the doors of the wirehouses. But this has been an embedded process in the wirehouse sales marketing plans for decades. So there's nothing new here. How we do it and how we implement it is a bit of science, and it's a bit of art. So the first element is, if we get more contact, if we spend more quality time with our advisors, if we bring them to events that are educational, that are entertaining, that are relationship building, if we're relationship centered with our existing clients, a couple of things happen. Number one, we maximize the amount of income and the amount of money we're making with those particular clients. That's a good thing. So opportunities come up, life changes come up, divorces, children, the need to do some estate planning, life changes, life events, money transfers. Um, these opportunities come up, and as we grow our relationship and as we deepen that relationship with our best clients, then the opportunities then turn into real business for us. So this contact at a client event becomes another way in a different environment to build that relationship, to grow, to add value to the relationship. And so we say we have to become a uh, target market marketing uh, advisor. We have to begin to identify who is the perfect client for me and what are the traits, characteristics, and attributes of that person to begin to attract more of those, to begin to spend less time with those who are sucking up our currency, which currency is time, and not giving us enough time to be with the clients that are going to bring us the real business, that 20% who bring us 80% of the business. So beginning to target market, and then we need a system. We need a way to expand that relationship with that particular ideal market for us, the ideal advisor, the ideal client relationship for you. And so I use the expression duplicatable systems, something that we can do on a regular basis. So we're going to talk about the actual strategy and implementing it in a minute, but I want you to all understand that the power of this is not necessarily as a one-time shot. It's not as something you do and you did it. Oh, I did a client event once a year at Christmas. That's fine. Uh, but if you use a client event strategy and implement it every quarter, now we have a duplicatable system for allowing for a couple of very key points that will enable you to double your production. First of all, again, I mentioned maximize that relationship, maximize the opportunity, expand that relationship, and also give your clients a chance to introduce you to people that they know, their children, their friends, their coworkers, their assistants. You can invite. It's the perfect environment to meet uh, in a non-pressured environment, in an environment that you're offering some maybe some great food, maybe a chance for you to just demonstrate your abilities, your expertise in offering financial advice, perhaps bring in a guest speaker from a wholesaler from one of your strategic partnerships to offer value. Now you're growing with that client. You're maximizing that relationship. You're meeting referrals in an environment where you don't even have to ask for business. In fact, I always encourage you not to talk any business at a client event. And the client event we're going to talk about today, in my book, How to Market to High Net Worth Households with Client Events, that's again available if you're interested in it. It's on paulkarasik.com. Um, I think I have 33 different types of client events that you can offer, but I'm going to focus on one that's easily duplicatable. So we talk about things like fashion shows. We talk about spa days for the spouses of your clients. We talk about renting movie theaters and having the grandkids come in, and birthday parties and retirement parties and Oscar parties and games and taking people to sporting events and so on. These are great, but they're seasonal and they're not easily duplicatable. The one I want to talk about for the remainder of this call today is the client event um, using a small, very focused dinner event that has an educational component. So client event marketing uses complementary social and or educational events to clone your ideal client. So we want to get more of those ideal clients and we want to expand and deepen the relationship with those clients. Again, thinking putting that, I would say if you're going to get a tattoo, I would get a tattoo that says advisors who spend 60% and more of their time earn 8 times what advisors who spend 30% or less of their time with their clients. That's a long tattoo, so I don't know. I don't think it's practical, but maybe as a card that I could put up in front of my computer when we get off the call here today. So now you're getting on the call. You're getting in front of them in a wonderful environment, offering them some sort of social value, a dinner, and also some educational. So I like the the dinner uh, workshop. That's the I to me it's the perfect environment because it allows a small focused event. Now I'm not against the big events. We have lots of advisors who are doing big barbecues in the summer and renting and taking people on cruises and all this stuff. I love that stuff, but it's not easily duplicatable. It's like planning a wedding or whatever. It's these are big events. Client events, once you systematize and you create the duplicatable system, become implementable literally in minutes. Sending out the invitations, following up, taking the reservations, and pulling off the event. It becomes so seamless, so easy, and that's when what I found working with advisors, you're more likely to implement it. So we're going to have a dinner. We're going to add value to the relationship, and we're going to be able to invite folks to it to get a chance to meet their friends because people like themselves. People travel with people like themselves. People are friends with people like themselves. And so now you need to create what I call the pipe. You need to create the structure, the vehicle to allow these like minded people who would be ideal clients to flow towards you, to give you an actual chance to meet them person to person, not a name on a piece of paper. Here's somebody I know, give them a call. This is a way to get in front of them. They become relaxed. The room is filled with people as they're eating the food that you're buying them, with people who are your friends, who support you, who are fans, who maybe even will get up and say some really nice things about you. So it's the perfect environment. It's referral on steroids is what it is. There's no comparison to any other referral generation system out there as far as scripting and all this other stuff. And I'm familiar with all of the other ways to get referrals. I'm not against them, but why not create an environment where you don't even have to ask for the referral? You just ask a friend to come to a wonderful dinner at Ruth Chris or Fleming's or some nice venue, give them some real value, have some nice social interaction. So here's uh, what you can expect if you want to do this. And I'm sure right now, I don't know how many folks we have on the call. We have a lot of folks who are actually implementing on a fairly regular basis some sort of client event. You can expect 40 to 60% of your referrals will come in for an appointment. So generally speaking, we find if a client event has about 10 to 20 clients, let's call them buying units, that would be a husband and wife, then or a single person if they're single, then we get about half the number of referrals. So if there's 20 clients or 15 clients, there'll be 5 to 7, 7 or 8 referrals. 40 to 60% of them will come in for an appointment, and 40 to 60% who come in will become clients. So an event will spawn off potentially 1 to 2 opportunities every time you do a client event, and this grows. This is exponential, and this actually begins to compound at a point. We can't get into all those details right now, but again, if you set up a schedule, and this is what we recommend with our programs, is that you actually, and this is a great time to be on this call, and I feel really grateful to be able to be addressing this at this moment in time, which is the end of January. If you have a plan and you have dates, what you can do is begin to promote all of your events. So someone says, well, we're doing a client event in March, and they say, oh, that's the one weekend we're going away with the family. Say, great, no problem. Take a look down. We're doing another one in May. And so it's called multiple times, multiple dates strategy. And so by booking out the year and putting your little dinner events in place for the year, you can actually multiply the attendance as opposed to doing one-off. So what I'm suggesting is begin to see this not as a one-off, I mentioned it earlier, but as a duplicatable system. You're systematizing your marketing strategy. I want to talk about some of the details here. Who do you invite? You invite 5 to 10 of your ideal clients, and you hopefully get 5 to 10 ideal referrals at this. I like to keep the event under 25 people. Why? Because it allows for the most relationship building. People talk and chat. It's You can usually have one table or two tables, um, or even three tables, but logistically everybody's close to each other. It's intimate. It's not like you're doing speeches. It's very, very comfortable. Once it gets over that 25, dynamic changes and becomes a little different. So that's the ideal. Um, how do you get started? And we just want to cover some of the tactical techniques here before we close up the call. You get started by creating the guest list. The guest list is your top 20% who's doing 80% of your business. Get the date. I would revise this a little bit and say it's 4 to 6 weeks from today. 3 to 4 weeks is a little bit tight, but we've had a lot of successful events if you have some of the basics in place. So your second or third event could be done easily once you have the restaurant and kind of have your email invitations, or if your assistant is calling, helping you, and the other pieces. A lot of this, and again, not to just to mention, we have all this for you, the books and the scripts and letters and all that, emails we have. We can offer this to you, but they're basically it's a short time frame to pull this off. Get the location down, so that's a restaurant that's convenient within. Try to keep it within about 15 to 30 minutes from your clients, assuming they can make it. And again, we need a duplicatable conversational script to invite the folks, the email, and so on. Here's what an event could look like that we recommend: 6 to 6:30 reception with cocktails, 6:30 to 8 dinner, 8 to 8:30. We recommend very strongly a relationship with one of your good wholesalers. That's these good wholesalers. It was mentioned earlier by Rick. We work with wholesaling teams. It's a big part of our business here. So we work with both the product manufacturers and we also work with the advisors. And great wholesalers are great people. They add a lot of value and they'll help you sponsor it. So our advisors that we work with usually don't pay very much, if anything, to do their client events. So they're picked up by either one wholesaler or two wholesalers that can come in and do a short 5 to 10 minute little presentation on state of the markets, where things are going, perhaps alternative investments, Social Security, the new tax laws. There's one a myriad of pieces of information that you, as an advisor and a good wholesaler partner, can do to add value. There will be new people in the room, so a brief overview, 5 to 10 minutes. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it. Here's the products and services we offer as an advisor, and then allow for a little bit of informal discussion. So you get basically going from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I always say to advisors, don't sell. You don't have to sell. Don't. It's much more effective. It kind of takes the gild off the lily when you are pushy, or you don't have to be. Your advisor, if your best clients are there, they're your best clients because they appreciate you, and you appreciate them, and you know them. And I find working with advisors for so many years that these relationships are not just business relationships; they're friendships, they are partnerships, they are truly great relationships and personal in effect. And it can't help being that way when they're with you for some time. So this is the core strategy. It's easily doable. If you're interested in doing this, then you need to take the first step, and the first step is to, and the most important step, and I found this from years of experience, is get a date. Get a date. Look at the calendar right now. Get a date. Put a date on the calendar. It's the end of January. I would say beginning of beginning of April, or excuse me, the end of March, beginning of April is extremely doable, even if this is your first client event. If you've done some in the past, you could certainly do it by mid March. There wouldn't be any problem to do that, to reserve the space. All the good restaurants, the Flemings, the Ruth Chris's, the McCormick and Schmick's, they all have private rooms that are actually created for client events, pretty much. It's funny. I went to the local McCormick and Schmick fish place near us here in Manhattan Beach, and I walked down the aisle of the small little rooms, and there was probably 3 or 4 client events being conducted by financial advisors. Um, it's because they work. It's because they work. So if you ask yourself, what can I do to grow my business? Then you need to actually get real with yourself and get honest and say, if this is a strategy that works, it can't go wrong. Excuse me. I've surveyed literally hundreds, if not thousands, of advisors. We found over the years that consistently client events bring in business opportunities in multiple ways. When you have a very refined system for doing it, inviting the right people, targeting, having a great venue, having putting together a compelling agenda. People come back. They come back. They bring people. They bring new business. The door opens for new business opportunities with you and your client, um, and you retain the clients forever and ever, and begin to expand with their families, with their children, with their friends. So great things happen when we become a relationship oriented advisor. You'll grow your business. You can't go wrong. I've taken away the money objection. Just talk to the wholesaler that you really like, and there's probably 2 or 3, I find, sometimes 4 wholesalers that are you have an advisor has a great relationship with, who are great sources of value. Talk to them. Put the data on the board before you talk to them. First thing is put the data on the board. I hope this has been helpful. If there's anybody who would like to have a short conversation with me personally, you can set that up by calling the number on the screen, 310-546-9277. Speak to Jason. Jason will set up a call. We can take 20 minutes if you think that coaching is something that would help you. If you're coachable, it probably will. It's the top people. Most, I would say, probably 80% all have coaches that they're working with to help them, guide them, stay on track, provide them with new insights and strategies. We have a 6-month program that's very powerful and is bound to have tremendous impact on your business. Love to talk with you. Set up a call. I hope that we'll be on another call together regardless. We value our relationship with Redtail. They're a great company. Rick is tremendous, dedicated at the highest level to provide value, insights, beyond providing the best state-of-the-art CRM in the industry. So with that said, I thank you so much for being on the call. I wish everybody the best of luck no matter what. Go out there, plan a couple of client events. You'll have some fun. You'll make some more money. And hopefully maybe some of you will get a chance to meet and chat in the future. Thanks so much for being on the call, and I thank you. Bye-bye.
Paul, thanks so much for that, man. And Paul's been doing this for, like he said, he's been working with advisors for over 25 years. I've been doing this CRM stuff for 6, and one of the things that I've seen, if I can offer somebody who's a bit on the other side of the spectrum, the experience that you provide is what differentiates you from everybody else. It's what differentiates you from the other advisors in town. It's what differentiates you from the robos and the apps and things like that. And Paul mentioned a lot of really good ones. Obviously, he went over the dinner today. But we, in my travels through RTU, we ask attendees all the time what kind of events they put on. And they vary from everything to from ice cream socials to going to the gun range, from renting out movie theaters to having a wine tasting. And I think what Paul has done is very similar to what a CRM does for you. To kind of tie it all in together, you mentioned, Paul, the most important thing about this is it's building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's letting your personality shine through. It's making friends, but you've given it away. You've basically systematized it. You've put it into an actual coachable system, which doesn't mean like you need to learn how to make friends. Like, how to do that. But sometimes when you're dealing with 50, 60 people or an entire client base, it can get a little difficult. Same way with the CRM. The CRM helps you track your 100, 200, 300 clients, and it helps you remember things like their dog's name or their retirement date, things that you might remember about your best friend, but you can't remember about Ricky Redtail. And so I think this is the perfect combination of not only technology, but also education, training from you, Paul, and just your personality. That's the idea. So Paul, I really, really appreciate your time today, man. As always, I appreciate everybody being on the call. Thank you so much.